Hi, welcome to Chapter 19, Part 1 of IBM301, Principles of Marketing Management. In Chapter 19, Part both 1 and 2, we're going to talk about the pricing concept. Price means one thing to consumer and another to the seller. To the seller, price the source of profit and revenue. And to the customer, the price is the cost of something. Marketing managers find the task of setting price a challenge. Price allocates resources in a free market economy. Price is that which is given up in an exchange to acquire a good or service. Price is typically money exchanged for a good or service. However, it may include other costs such as the time lost while waiting to acquire the good or service. Consumers are interested in obtaining a reasonable price, which means a perceived reasonable value at the time of the transaction. The price paid is based on the satisfaction consumers expect to receive from a product and not necessarily the satisfaction they actually receive. Price can relate to anything with a perceived value, not just the money itself. When goods or services are exchanged, the trade is called barter. Prices are the key to the revenues, which are the key to the profits for an organization. Revenue is what pays for every activity of the company. What's left over is the profit. The price is set to earn a profit for the company. Managers strive to charge a price that will earn a fair profit. So the revenue is the price charged to the customers multiplied by the number of units sold, and profit is the revenue minus expenses or cost. Setting the right price can be a stressful task of marketing managers, as demonstrated by the above trends in the consumer market. Competition in general is increasing, and consequently, many installations, accessories, and parts are being marketed like indistinguishable commodities. The trends of influencing the price drop is first, flood of new products. Second, increased availability of bargain-priced private and generic brands. Third, price cutting as a strategy to maintain or regain market share. Fourth, as I mentioned, internet use for comparison shopping. And also the U.S. recession of the economy from late 2007 to 2009. Pricing objectives must be specific, attainable, and measurable to survive in today's competitive market. Pricing objective can be divided into three categories shown above and described in the following slide. First is the profit-oriented. Profit-oriented pricing objectives include profit maximization, satisfactory profits, and target return on investment. First, the profit maximization is setting prices so that the total revenue is as large as possible related to the total cost. Although the profit maximization aims at the setting prices for a large total revenue, it does not always signify unreasonably high prices. Both price and profit depend on the competitive environment and the product's perceived value. Remember, too, that a firm cannot charge a price higher than the product's perceived value. Satisfactory profit represents a reasonable level of a profit that is consistent with the level of risk an organization faces. Second, return on investment, the ROI. The most common profit objective is a target ROI, or the return on total assets. It represents a firm's effectiveness in generating profits with the available assets. The higher the firm's ROI, the better off the firm is. ROI puts a firm's profit into perspective by showing profits relative to the investment. Return on investment needs to be evaluated in terms of the competitive environment, risk in the industry, and economic conditions. In general, firms seek ROIs in the 10 to 30% range depending on the industry. Third is a sales-oriented pricing. The objectives are based either on market share or on dollar or unit sales. The market share is a company's product sales as a percentage of total sales for that industry. Market share can be reported in dollars or units of products, and the result may be different. Many companies believe that maintaining or increasing market share is an indicator of the effectiveness of their marketing mix. Larger market share often means higher profits thanks to economies of scale, market power, and ability to compensate top quality management. But this conventional wisdom is not always reliable. Many companies with low market share survive if they are in the slow growth industry and experience few product changes. Sales maximization is rather than strive for a market share, but sometimes companies try to maximize the sales itself. So they use the short-term objective to maximize the sales, ignore profits, competition, and the marketing environment. It may be used to sell off excess inventory, but without profits, a company cannot actually survive. Status quo pricing seeks to maintain existing prices or to meet the competitors' prices. This category requires little planning, and it is essentially a passive policy. Next topic is the demand determinant of price. Demand is the quantity of a product that will be sold in the market at various prices for a specific period. Supply is the quantity of products that will be offered to the market by suppliers at various prices for a specific period. The quantity of a product that people will buy depends on its price. The higher the price, the fewer goods or services consumers will demand, and vice versa. So Exhibit 9.2 shows the demand curve. So if the price is higher, then there is a lower quantity that people will seek, and vice versa. Exhibit 19.3 shows the supply curve. It has the positive relations between the price and the quantity supplied per week. So the higher the price, suppliers want to supply more products to the market compared to the demand curve, which has the negative slope. The concept of supply and demand are combined to see how competitive market prices are determined. First is a price equilibrium, the price at which demand and supply are equal. And in that case, elasticity of demand plays. Consumers' responsiveness or sensitivity to change in price. So the first example, price equilibrium, is shown in Exhibit 19.4. The price below equilibrium results in a shortage because of the demand is greater than the available supply. A shortage puts upward pressure on price. At a price above equilibrium, the demand is less than the available supply and the surplus is created. The surplus lowers the price. Establishing an equilibrium price may not be possible all at once. Prices may fluctuate as market for a good moves toward equilibrium. But demand and supply will eventually settle into the proper balance. That's what they call the invisible hand by Adam Smith. To appreciate the demand analysis, the concept of elasticity of demand should be understood. First, elastic demand means consumers buy more or less of the product when the price changes. And inelastic demand means an increase or a decrease in the price will not actually affect the demand. And unitary elasticity means an increase in sales exactly offsets a decrease in prices, so total revenue remains the same. Elasticity of demand can be calculated like this. Percentage change in quantity demanded of a good A is divided by a percentage change in price of a good A. So if elasticity is more than 1, the demand is elastic, and if the elasticity is less than 1, demand is inelastic. And if it is 1, demand is unitary. So let's take a look at this example. Here, price of an Oakley sunglass went down from $100 to $90. And quantity sold in the sunglass hut increased from 1,000 to 1,200. So in order to calculate this, we need to calculate the percentage change of the price and percentage change of the demand. So for the elasticity of demand, percentage change in quantity demanded is what here? And percentage change in price? You do it yourself. The answer will be provided in different slide. Let's take a look at the second example. The price of a pair of Nike running shoes went up from $50 to $55. Quantity sold in stores decreased from 10,000 units to 9,000 units. So in order to calculate the elasticity of demand, the same calculation applies here. Again, the answer will be provided in different slide sets. Elasticity can be measured by observing the changes in total revenue shown on the slide. So when the price goes down and the revenue goes up, then the demand is elastic. When the price goes down and revenue goes down, it is inelastic, and vice versa. But when the price goes up and down and the revenue stays the same, it is unitary elasticity. There are factors that affect elasticity of demand. Availability of substitute. When many substitutes are available, it is easy to switch products, making demand elastic. The same is true in reverse if no substitutes are available. Price relative to purchasing power. If a price is so low that it is an inconsequential part of an individual's budget, demand will be inelastic. Product durability. Repairing durable products rather than replacing them prolongs their useful life. Thus, people are sensitive to the price increase and the demand is elastic. A product's other use. The greater the number of uses for a product, the more elastic demand tends to be. If a product has only one use, the quantity purchased probably will not vary as price varies. Rate of inflation. When inflation is high, demand becomes more elastic. Rising price levels make consumers more price sensitive. So a good example of product that has the lowest elasticity of demand is the gas. So whichever the price of the gas is, we need the gas. So there's no substitute, even if there are some electric cars or diesel cars. But most consumers who's driving a regular gas-powered cars, the price is very, very inelastic for gas. Sometimes the importance of demand is ignored when the prices are decided based largely or solely on the basis of the cost. Price set on the basis of the cost may be too high for the target market. But on the other hand, if prices are set too low, the firm will earn a lower return than it should be. Cost should be determined as the part of any price determination, in part to determine the floor below which a good or service must not be priced in the long run. Variable and fixed costs are important aspects of the price determination. Variable cost varies with the changes in level of output, and fixed cost does not change as the level of output changes. To compare the cost of a production to the selling price of the product, it is helpful to calculate cost per unit or average cost. Average variable cost, AVC, is the total variable cost divided by quantity of output. Average total cost, ATC, is the total cost divided by quantity of the output. And the marginal cost is the change in total cost associated with the 1 unit change in output. Cost can be used to set prices in a variety of ways. Marker pricing is fairly simple. The others, profit maximization pricing and break-even pricing, they use more complicated concept of cost. A description of these methods is shown on the following slides. First, markup pricing is the most popular method to establish a selling price. Instead of using the cost of production to set the price, markup pricing uses the cost of buying the product from the producer plus amount for profit and expenses. The total determines the selling price. Keystoning is a method based on experience, with many small retailers just doubling the cost. Other factors that influence the markups are the merchandise's appeal to customers, past response to the market, the item's promotional value, the seasonability of the good, their fashion apparel, the product's traditional selling price, and competition. Profit maximization occurs when marginal revenue equals marginal cost. Marginal cost is the changes in total cost associated with the 1 unit change in output. Marginal revenue, MR, is the extra revenue associated with the selling an extra unit of output. As long as the revenue of the last unit produced and sold is greater than the cost of the last unit produced and sold, the firm should continue manufacturing and selling the product. Exhibit 19.7 shows the relationship between cost, revenue, and break-even point. Break-even analysis determines what sales volume must be reached before the company's break-even and no profits are earned. Its total cost equals to total revenue. So here, the red slope is the total cost and the blue slope is the total revenue. So when they meet each other after assigning for the fixed cost and the variable cost, here is the break-even point. So in order for this firm to break even, they have to produce and sell 4,000 units and make $4,000. The advantage of break-even analysis is that it provides a quick estimate of how much the firm must sell to break even and how much profit can be earned if a higher sales volume is obtained. Sometimes, however, it is hard to know whether a cost is fixed or variable. Furthermore, simple break-even analysis ignores the demand. So there's an exercise as well. For calculating the break-even quantity, the total fixed cost is divided by fixed cost contribution, And fixed cost contribution can be calculated by selling price minus average variable cost. So there's an exercise here. Total fixed cost is $2,000 and unit price is $1. And also the average variable cost is 50 cents. Now we can calculate the fixed cost contribution first, and we can calculate the break-even quantity. See Chapter 11 for review of the product life cycle. As a product moves through its life cycle, the demand for the product and the competitive conditions can change. During the introductory stage, prices are set to high to recover the development cost. Demand originates in the core of the market and it is relatively inelastic. As the product enters the growth stage, prices tend to stabilize due to the increased product supply from competitors, increased product appeal to a broader market, and decreased cost from economies of scale. Third, maturity brings about further decrease in prices as competition increases and high-cost firms are eliminated. But distribution channels become a significant cost factor because of the needs to offer wider product lines. Usually, only the most efficient manufacturers can remain. The decline stage may see further price decreases until only one firm is left in the market. At the time, prices begin to stabilize and may even increase as the product moves into the specialty goods category. The competition varies during the product life cycle. Although a firm may not have competition at first, the high prices obtained may induce other firms to enter the market. Sometimes competition can lead to price wars. Promotional strategy. Price is often used as a promotional tool to increase the consumer interest. Since the price is the most visible element of the 4 Ps, many companies are using bargaining price as their promotional tools. The relationship of price to quality. When a purchase decision involves uncertainty, consumers tend to rely on a high price as a predictor of good quality. A consumer's psychological state at the time of purchase has a significant impact on his perception of price and quality. Consumers assume that you get what you pay for. Prestige pricing takes these consumer attitudes into account when devising price strategies. A successful prestige pricing strategy requires a retail price that is reasonably consistent with consumers' expectations.